Okay, so yesterday I gave you one homework to write the resonating structure for carbon dioxide. Have you done it? If you have finished doing it, can you tell me how many resonating structures you people have got for carbon dioxide? Yes, students, answer me. How many resonating structures did you all get for carbon dioxide? I'm not asking the hybrid structure. I'm asking how many resonating structures did you all get? Very good. Yes. Yeah, others also can answer. How many structures altogether did you all get for carbon dioxide? How many structures? No, 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 no. Only one, is it? Few are getting 1, 6, 12. No, that's not the answer. The one who have got 3, that is a correct answer, okay? There are 3 resonating structures. Okay, now tell me the total number. I will do it over here. See, cross-check your answers. I'm going to do over here on the screen. So you correct it, okay? Tell me what are the total number of electrons you have got for carbon dioxide? Total number of electrons. Tell me that. Carbon requires 8, correct, no? Oxygen also requires 8 and there are 2 oxygen atoms. So how many total? 8 plus 16, no? Yes, 24. Okay, now tell me the valence electrons. This you should tell me now. Tell me the valence electrons. How many total? For carbon and for oxygen. Tell me the final number. Yes. 16, everyone. 4 plus 2 into 6, no, oxygen. So that is 12. So 16. So shared pair of electron will be 24 minus 16. 24 minus 16 is 8 and unshared electron is 16 minus 8, that is also 8. Okay. So these are the shared electrons and unshared electrons. Shared electrons are 8. That means the maximum bond which can be possible is 4. Okay. So 4 maximum bond can be possible. I will write the structure now here. See. Carbon in the center. And then we have 2 oxygen atom. Okay. So here I said the total number of bonds which are possible is 4 because 8 electron means 4 bonds. Okay. Keep that in mind. 8 electrons means 4 bonds will be possible between them. So here I will put 4 bonds. So one here, second one here. Okay. This is one way I can do and then third here and fourth one here. Okay. So this is one way I can distribute the total number of bonds. 4 bonds. Equal distribution I have done between carbon and oxygen. Okay. Now remaining is 8 unshared electrons. This carbon anyways it is satisfied. You can see total number of electrons they have got it 8. But for this oxygen they require 4 more. Correct? No. For the first oxygen they require 4 and the second oxygen also requires 4. 1, 2, 3 and then 4. Okay. So this is one way I can write it. Now the next structure which will be possible. So when you write the resonating structure, you see that you put a double-headed arrow mark. Okay. Saying that this structure is possible and the another one is also like possible. Many Lewis structure, we put a double-headed arrow mark. So now next one, when I have to write, carbon again I've taken in the center and oxygen on this side. So now here, another way I can distribute is, I will keep a single bond here, okay, and then triple bond on this side. This is one more way I can represent single bond is compulsory because without the bond the molecule cannot exist. So one bond I can keep here and then the remaining bonds I've put on this side. Okay, 4 bonds, so we have to distribute. Now you satisfy this. Okay. So here 1, 2, for the first oxygen I require 6 electrons, no, because only 2 electrons they are having. So 6 electrons, and then for the last oxygen I will require only 2 electrons. So this is the way I can represent. I will put them in the bracket so that you can see them clearly. Okay. See this one. So 2 structures are over. One more is possible now. See this triple bond I can put between the first oxygen and the carbon, and the last carbon and oxygen I can keep with the single bond. Okay. So one more way I can represent is in this triple bond and then single bond. Okay. So these are the possible way. You don't have any other way to represent them. So 2 electrons here and this electron. But these last 2 structures which are drawn, total 3 possible structures. The first structure is a stable structure. You can see here because they don't carry any charge. And the number of electrons of the oxygen, carbon and the second oxygen is also satisfied. Okay, it's correct. They don't carry any formal charge as such. But then here, this one you see, in the second structures which are drawn, second structure and the third structure, if you count the number of electrons on the oxygen, you can see their particular electrons. Okay, you count here. 1 they have shared, 1 is here. And then 6 are there on the oxygen atom. So that means they are having 7. So that indicates that this oxygen can carry a minus charge, and this oxygen, the second oxygen which is there, okay, they are having how many electrons? 3 electrons they are having with the carbon. Okay, and 2 are there on them. Okay, so that means they are carrying a positive charge. They have 1 electron less, no? Supposed to be having 6 electrons according to their valence shell. 6 electrons, but then they are having only 5. So they will carry a positive charge. Okay, and in this case it will be opposite. The one which has 2 electrons, they will carry plus charge, and then here it will carry minus charge. Opposite why I said, because here triple bond is coming first and the single bond is coming afterwards. But depending on the number of electrons, you see whether they are having less or they are having more than compared to their valence shell. Based on that, they will carry a charge. Now here I have simply put the charge to show you that this particular structure, the first structure is more stable than compared to the rest 2 structures. If they carry more positive and negative charge, that will be less stable. If they don't carry any charge, that would be more stable structure. Okay, so these are the possible Lewis structures. 3 structures are possible. Okay, but how to write the hybrid structure now? So in experiment, what they have found is the carbon and carbon double bond. Okay, the bond length is around 120 10. When they did experimentally, okay, through experiment, is this carbon and oxygen bond length is around 115 picometer. That means it is intermediate between the double bond and the triple bond. What will happen if you put the triple bond on the other side where? No, you can't put no there. If you're putting on that side, then you have to reduce the number of lone pair of electrons. Suppose if you want to put this, you are talking about this triple bond to shift here, no? If you're shifting there, we are writing the Lewis structure, seeing that 8 electrons are there in their outermost shell. You can't put more than that. After you have written the Lewis structure, seeing that the particular atom has got 8, and then you check, compared to their valence shell, how many electrons they are actually having on them. Okay. Based on that, we are distributing the formal charge. So I was telling you here, Carbon and carbon double bond length is found to be 121 picometer, and carbon triple bond length is found to be 110 picometer. But experimentally what they have got is the bond length between the carbon and oxygen is 115 picometer. That means it is intermediate between these two, 121 and 110. Okay, so we can write the hybrid structure, the resonance hybrid structure. I can write it in this way. Okay, I will put a triple bond here. This triple bond is just to show you that we are combining all these three structures together and writing them as one. Okay, so I said experiment wide they have got as 115. That means it's a combination of these three structures. Okay, and it's between double bond and the triple bond. Okay, so that means that third bond which is there, that is resonating. So I can write the structure in this way: resonance hybrid structure. Okay, you put a double bond in between them, put a double bond here, and then the last bond is there, no, because it's intermediate between double and triple bond. So what we are doing is, we are just putting the dotted structure for the third resonance hybrid structure for carbon dioxide. Resonance hybrid structure. Structure is a structure which we get from the experiment. From the experiment, whatever values we are getting, we are trying to club both of them and then write the hybrid structure. So this we cannot write just by ourselves unless we know the experimental value. Yes, students, now you can copy it down. If you haven't done it, copy it down quickly. No, bond length you don't have to remember, okay? This I just gave you to make you understand how they have deduced the resonance hybrid structure. How we get to know that this should be the hybrid structure. So that is depending on the bond length. We were expecting this much as the bond length for double bond and for triple bond. But then when experimentally it was found, it was coming as intermediate. That means the resonance hybrid structure is intermediate between the double bond and the triple bond. Double bond, because see here it's intermediate between double bond and the triple bond. That means double bond is compulsory there, correct, no? And the triple bond which is there, those electrons are actually continuously moving. So that was the reason I happened to put here double bond. If the values were coming in between the single bond and the double bond, then what you will do is you will put a single bond first. Okay, and then that double bond character you will put as a like a dotted structure. What is the doubt about like finding the valence electrons? Here, how to find the valence electron, is it? Valence electron you find out by seeing the number of electrons are present in their outermost shell. Like for example, here carbon is there. No, carbon, how many electrons are there in their outermost shell? 1s2, 2s2, and then 2p2. So which are the electrons which are there in the outermost shell? The whole shell. I'm not talking about the orbital. This I have mentioned also. Not in the orbital, the whole shell. So here 4 are there. No, it's not 6, sir. 6 is the atomic number of carbon. These two electrons don't participate. I told you, no, these electrons which are there inside, they don't participate. The only electrons which are present in the outermost shell, they participate in the bonding. So it's only the second shell electrons which will be participating, not the first shell electrons. So I said these are like kept inside, the core electrons. Only this will be participating. So we take only valence electron for talking about the bonding. So for carbon, it is 4. And if you take oxygen, oxygen is 1s2, 2s2, and then 2p. So total number of electrons are 6. For oxygen, it is 6. Don't count the inside electrons. And not to consider the orbital, I am talking about the whole shell, not the orbitals. Okay, no, I hope it's clear. So here, when you are writing the resonance structure, you see if there is single bond and double bond, okay, continuously you are finding that double bond is getting shifted. So then we will keep one bond and then the another one will be as a dotted structure. But then if you find triple bond is there and double bond is there, you put double bond and then the triple bond you will put as a dotted structure. Okay. Yes, I'll go for the next one. I hope it's clear to everyone. Still anything is there to ask? Let me know. Shall I proceed now? Fine, I will continue then. Okay, the next topic what we have is polarity of bonds. Okay, our next topic is polarity of bonds. In this, we are going to study about two category of bonds. Okay, one is non-polar covalent bond and polar covalent bond. Okay, I'll write the names here. You don't copy now anything. Just listen to me. Later, I will give you the notes. Okay, that you can copy down. So one is non-polar covalent bond. And the other one is polar covalent bond. Let us understand what is polar covalent and non-polar covalent bond. Covalent bond you have studied. The bond which is formed by sharing of electrons. Such type of bonds are called as covalent bond. Okay. Now here if I take example of hydrogen H2 molecule. Okay. So there you have seen that hydrogen shares one electron and the another hydrogen also shares one electron. And these electrons will be shared, like these two will belong to both of them. Okay. The one which they have shared, that will belong to both of them. Okay. So when it belongs to both of them here, there won't be any fight as such. Can you all hear me correctly? So non-polar, I will repeat once again. See, polarity of the bond, I said there are two categories. One is non-polar covalent bond and the other one is polar covalent bond. Okay, so I am talking about the first one now here. That is about non-polar covalent bond. Okay, so I said you have already studied about what is a covalent bond is. A covalent bond is the one which is formed by sharing of electrons. Okay, so I am taking the example of hydrogen here. In the case of hydrogen, you find that one hydrogen shares one electron and the other hydrogen also shares one electron, where these two electrons which they have shared belongs to both of them. Okay, it belongs to this hydrogen as well and it belongs to the another hydrogen as well. Okay, so that is a covalent bond. Okay, now what do you mean by non-polar covalent bond? Non-polar covalent bond is when you have the covalent bond formed between two similar atoms. Okay, the shared pair of electron belongs to both of them and then there is no charge separation as such. Means there is no fight. Okay, Now, if two siblings are there and both of them have a very good understanding between each other, okay, so if your dad or mom gets a chocolate for you, you will share equally among yourself, okay, so it will be shared equally. There is no fight as such, okay. So that is what is non-polar covalent bond. When a bond is formed between two similar atoms, this shared pair of electron is there, no, that is equally distributed, okay, or equally I can say attracted by both the atoms, okay. So there is no fight as such because they are of similar category and then they have a good understanding between them, okay. So these electrons will not get shifted between any of them. So such type of bonds are called as non-polar covalent bond. So where you can see similar type of atom, there it will be having a non-polar covalent bond, like in H2 case, and then we have Cl2, chlorine, oxygen, similar category, so there is no fight. Whatever is there, they will share equally between both of them, okay. So such type of bonds are non-polar covalent bond. I hope it's clear. Now next one, coming to the next one, that is polar covalent bond. Polar covalent bond will happen when you have a dissimilar atom. This like the covalent bond is formed and that covalent bond is formed between two dissimilar atoms. For example, if I take now HCl, HCl molecule is formed by sharing of electron, one electron by the hydrogen atom and one electron by the chlorine atom. So it's a covalent bond, okay. It's not an ionic bond, students. It's a covalent bond where hydrogen gives one electron and chlorine also gives one electron. Chlorine gets one electron from the hydrogen so that they become stable, and hydrogen gets one electron from chlorine so that they get two electrons. A duplet configuration will be attained by hydrogen atom. Now in this case, what happens when you have a dissimilar atom, okay, so in this, the one who is more electronegative, okay, the one who is more electronegative, they will try to take all the electrons towards themselves. Even though they were supposed to be sharing it, the most electronegative, because their effective nuclear charge is very high. So they have more tendency to grab the electron towards themselves. Okay, so what this chlorine does, you see, they try to pull, supposed to be sharing, okay, they try to pull all this electron towards themselves. So that electron cloud density will be shifted towards the chlorine atom. So when that happens, this chlorine atom will carry a partial negative charge. See how we denote the partial sign? It's a delta symbol, okay? You write S and then just take a curve inside, okay? So this is called as delta, and then we put a minus sign because these electrons are shifting towards the chlorine. Instead, what happened to the hydrogen? Hydrogen lost that electron, okay? So hydrogen will carry a partial positive charge. So delta sign and then put a positive charge on their head, okay? So this indicates that hydrogen has lost and chlorine has gained. So I am not putting only minus and plus. If I put full minus and then plus, that indicates that the whole bond has broken down. So we are putting just partial negative charge and partial positive charge, okay, to indicate. So this is called as polar covalent bond. Polar means there is a polarity created, okay. Polarity of charges means there is a separation of the negative charge and there is a separation of positive charge taking place. So they are named as polar covalent bond. Supposed to be a covalent bond which is formed between two dissimilar atoms, but then this shared pair of electron, what happened is it got shifted towards the most electronegative atom because they are having more effective nuclear charge, so they try to grab all that electron towards themselves. So if like now if one sibling is little more dominating and the other one is little papa type, like the one who is papa one and the other one is little more dominating one. So in that case, what will happen? If a chocolate is brought, it will not be distributed equally. One will get more share and the other one will get a less amount of share. Okay. So that happens in this case, in our polar covalent bond, same thing happens. The one who is more dominating, they get towards themselves, and one who is little less dominating, they lose the electrons. Okay. So one example I give you is HCl, even HBr, whichever you find with hydrogen with the most electronegative atom, you will find this type of bonding happening. Okay. I hope it's clear. Polarity of the bond, I said there are two types. One is non-polar covalent bond and the other one is polar covalent bond. Okay. Covalent bonds are always formed by sharing of electrons. So if there are two similar atoms, And between them, if the covalent bond is formed, then the shared pair of electrons will be equally attracted by both the atoms. Okay, those are called as non-polar because there is no charge separation. Okay, there is no charge separation because both of them are happily sharing both the electrons. Okay, there is no fighting. Here, this side, in the polar covalent bond case, what happens? The bond which is formed between two dissimilar atoms. See here, hydrogen is there and the other one is chlorine. So when you have two different atoms who are trying to form a covalent bond, in that case, the problem arises is the one who is more dominating, even though they were supposed to share it, the more dominating will try to take all the electrons towards themselves, carrying a partial negative charge, and the one who is losing the electron, they will carry a partial positive charge. Okay. So you can write down, you can write the definition. Heading is polarity of bond. See here, these are the definitions. You can copy it down. Here below this, when I've written HCl and HF, you can show that charge separation. Okay, I will write here. Will show that separation. Okay, I'm showing the arrow mark, showing the shift here. This Cl has partial negative charge and this carries a partial positive charge. So if you remember the example, then it will be easier for you to remember this definition also. When a covalent bond is formed between two similar atoms, the shared pair of electron, like you can remember for hydrogen. Okay, like you know, you have two similar atoms, the shared pair of electrons is equally attracted by two atoms, means both the atoms. Okay, such type of bond is called as non-polar covalent bond. But when you have a bond which is formed between two dissimilar atoms, a different atom, then this shared pair of electron will go towards the more electronegative atom. That is non-polar polar covalent bond. Because here polarity is created and there is no polarity. So it's non-polar covalent and this is polar covalent. So in this HCl case, what happens is these two electrons were supposed to be belonging to hydrogen as well as it is supposed to be belonging to chlorine atom. But then what is found is these electron clouds are there, no, they are slightly tilted towards the chlorine atom. Okay. Like here, if I have to talk about electron cloud, imagine here hydrogen is there, hydrogen electron cloud, and one more hydrogen electron cloud like this. This will be correct, okay? In this way only it will be shown. Even though after they have shared the electron, because there is no, I said no, there is no fighting between both of them. Both of them are of same kind. Electron cloud is the electron where the electrons are present in the orbital. That is electron cloud, okay? That orbital itself is the electron cloud for us. So in this case, in HCl case, if I take hydrogen here, and if I take chlorine on this side, okay, suppose this is the electron cloud of chlorine and this is the electron cloud of hydrogen, okay. So what is found is the hydrogen, like the electron which are present on the hydrogen side, that is slightly tilted towards the chlorine side. So it will be found like this, hydrogen like this, okay, this way. Means the more electron will be shifted towards this chlorine side, this way. this orbital in which the electrons are present, no, I said no, it's like almost like a balloon like structure, quite flexible, and they have just a boundary. That is, boundary is of the orbit. Okay, so where these electrons are found, that region itself is called as electron cloud. You all want me to repeat this once again? If you want, I will repeat this. See, in the polarity of bond, I said there are two types. One is non-polar covalent bond and the other one is polar covalent bond. So if I take now example of hydrogen, see, hydrogen has one electron present in them. Okay. So this hydrogen has one electron and the another hydrogen also has one electron. So what they have done is they have shared these electrons so that they can become stable and form a covalent bond. So you will find that these two electrons will be present in the center, shared by both of the hydrogen atom. Okay. So then these two electrons will belong to hydrogen, the first hydrogen as well as towards the second hydrogen, and electrons will be equally attracted by both the atoms because it is being shared, and since the atoms are of same type, so there won't be any shifting of the electrons taking place. Okay. So if there is no shifting of the electrons and both are equally attracted by two atoms, then such type of bonding is called as non-polar covalent bond because there is no polarity. And if you are worrying about like the electron cloud is nothing but this orbital region itself where the electrons are present. That itself is also named as electron cloud. Okay. So that cloud is found to be not disturbed. It is found to be equal between the two hydrogen atoms. Okay, like that only it is found because hydrogen is also having one type of shape and another hydrogen same type of shape, no, because they are symmetrical in nature. So this hydrogen cloud is found to be symmetrical. Whereas in this region, what happens is when you have a two dissimilar atom, this chlorine brought one electron and hydrogen brought one electron and they started forming a covalent bond between them. Okay. So once they have formed the covalent bond, since this chlorine atom is found to be more electronegative, okay, so when you see in the microscope, what they have found is this electron density which was there between both of them supposed to be equally distributed. Okay, for hydrogen we should get the cloud like this and for chlorine we should, because atoms are spherical, no, in that particular region they have electrons, in their outermost shell they have electron, that region is the cloud region. Okay, so what they have found is these electrons which were supposed to be shared, that was slightly found to be tilted towards the chlorine atom. Okay, these electron hydrogen, it's like how the water movement you find, no, going into one region. So that is what has been found. Okay, so we say that it is happening because you have two different atoms which are forming a covalent bond. So these electrons will be shifted towards the one who is more electronegative in nature. So in that case, one will get a negative charge on them and the other one will get a partial positive charge. It's just they are just getting shifted towards them. Then such bonds are called as polar covalent bond because there is polarity created. Yes, I'll go for the next one. We'll go for the next topic. I hope you have finished. Okay, the next topic is covalent character covalent character in ionic bond. Covalent character in ionic bond. Okay. So your ionic bond, it's been formed by electrostatic force of attraction. So according to the heading, you can understand that none of the bond over here is around 100% ionic in nature. See, nothing is purely 100%. No, 100% purity you don't get in any of the things. Okay. So here also this ionic bond which is being formed, they are not 100% ionic in nature, because when they checked few properties of this particular ionic compound, they found that they are not showing the properties which were supposed to be shown by the ionic compounds in a 100% way. Okay, so few compounds are there which have certain covalent character also embedded into them. Okay, they don't have only ionic character in them, but certain amount of covalent character is also found. Why it is happening, that is what we have to explain. So experimentally they found that ionic bonds are not 100% ionic in nature. Along with that ionic character, there is certain amount of covalent character also present. You know how ionic bonds are formed? Ionic bonds are formed by electrostatic force of attraction between the positive and the negative ion. Okay, so I will take that positive ions are cation. So we require a cation and we require a anion here. Okay, and cations are positively charged. So I'm taking positively charged, anion negatively charged. So I'm taking anion over here. Okay, anions are negatively charged. Now, comparing the cations and anions, you can see that cations are usually deficient because they have lost the electron. No? See, they don't have much amount of electrons compared to the anions. So these cations, what is there? Okay, they are electron deficient, I can call them. So here I will just write cations are electron deficient, means they are little poor. So they are electron deficient in nature. Electrons deficient they are. Okay, so I can call them as they are little poor in nature. Okay, because they don't have sufficient amount of electron. Now going for the anion case, anion is having extra electrons, so that means they are electron rich. Nature wise they are electron rich because they are having enough number of electrons. Now, when this cation approaches this anion, means when this cation and anion come together, so that time they will be held to each other by the electrostatic force of attraction. That leads to the ionic bond. Okay, so that is a normal ionic bond which will be formed. This cation will get attracted by the anion. They will have a formation of ionic bond. But what is found is, along with that ionic bond, they are having certain covalent character also. Okay, so that covalent character, how it is being generated, that we have to explain here. So here I will just move this slide little downwards. So what is found here is this positive ions are there. Now since they are electron deficient and these anions are little rich in electrons, so what happens is the poor ones, okay, try to grab the electron. Once they have formed the bond here, see, I will take this positive charge and then you have this negative charge. Okay, so these are the negative electrons and these are the positive cations. So what is being found here is these positive cations are there, which are deficient of electrons. They try to take these electrons towards themselves because they are deficient. You can imagine in this way. Imagine if one poor, okay, two friends are there, one is poor in nature and the other one is little rich. Okay, so what this friend does is he wants to help this poor one. Okay, because he doesn't have enough of money with him. So what the one who is rich, okay, so when they meet with each other, he found that the another one is little suffering, so he tries to give whatever is there, he tries to share with the other person. Okay, so in that case, what happens, he tries to make him as a partner so that both of them can work together. So in that case, they got attracted with each other, and after that he shared few of his money, that is whatever sharings he had, he shared between this person who is deficient, the one who is little poor in nature. So in that case, that sharing which is being done, that will be benefited by both of them. Okay, so in that case, whatever bond they had initially, that will strengthen little more, okay, because of this sharing of electron. So same thing happens between the cation and the anion. When the cation and anion approach each other, initially they have the electrostatic force of attraction. So because of this electrostatic force of attraction, since these cations are positively charged, they try to take these electron towards themselves. Okay, this electron cloud of the anion will start shifting towards the cation because they are little deficient in nature. So little shifting happens, and those electrons which shifted between the cation and anion will be attracted by, because these are electrons of the anion, they get attracted by the cation also. These electrons of anions will get attracted by the okay. So this things which happens, that leads to strengthening of the ionic bond and develops a certain covalent character. And this whole process is called as polarization. The whole process is called as polarization, means the whole electrons has shifted towards, it is shifted between the cation and the anion.